Yeah, I've been thinking about animation because I've wanted to do animation for a long time, and the point of animation is sort of, excuse me, I want to sort of teach things, but I think through stories, through, sort of, especially cartoons, there's something, when it comes to cartoons, I think there's a very special power in cartoons to convey a concept. It's because it's at once symbolic. There's no real person's face, right? So even a realistic cartoon starts to become a little bit less symbolic and less effective in this sense. But a cartoon is incredibly symbolic, just in the nature of what it is. Literally using shapes to symbolize, people, vehicles, buildings, the sun, like the sun is a yellow circle kind of thing. It's a symbolic representation of reality at the most basic layer of what it is. So I think that this sort of lends to a very good sort of translation of it's very good for translating like complex occult topics or complex topics in general. Like, for example, in Courage the Cowardly Dog, there's one episode where there's these two female cats, and it's supposed to be like as if they're lesbians, but it doesn't really convey that really clearly. But I think even as a kid, you'll probably sort of get it. Homosexuality, of course, is the kind of the end all. It's kind of the perfect example of this sort of thing, because there's such a pervasive push for homosexuality to be, sort of more common in everyone's sort of consciousness, more like well understood or something like that. Not well understood, but like it's to be accepted that it is a thing that's not out there on the fringe. Even though in the LGBT community there's some criticism about how LGBT people on TV are kind of a joke a lot of the time. But perhaps that's the cost of representation in Hollywood at the moment. Of being represented by people who, eat children. Anyways, but I think the medium is great for occult topics, and I think already Hollywood uses it for occult topics. This is where, on my end, or for me, I feel compelled to fight the war. I already do that with magic, but I think doing it through art, there's a couple things that happen. First of all, when you crystallize certain energies into art, that will fill you with the energy of the thing that you're, sort of tapping into. Like, I made pictures of Azazel, actually 3D models that I then rendered into pictures of Azazel, Asmodeus, Shiva, and the energy of it is so powerful, and it's filled my life. It's unbelievably powerful. So I think that maybe those are sort of particular situations. Also, the owl stole us. These are particular situations. Then maybe I could find a way to do this continually and, fill myself with this light. I also did Mars, but it's funny, Mars, I was making this original character of mine that's a child. I was just very jazzy, very emergent art type thing. I was modeling this child, and I wanted him to have like armor and stuff like that. And then I decided that he should be red, and sooner or later I felt the energy of Mars was very present. I decided that this was basically like Kartikeya, like Murugan Mars. So, even Samael, I suppose. Yeah, I think in Kabbalah, when things are talked about as angels, it's practically the same thing as devas. Kabbalah and Hinduism are so similar in some ways. I saw a video recently of Jordan Maxwell talking about how Abraham is like, as if coming from Brahma, like Brahman. And it's funny because I had just done a short talk about, to be recorded into a video, which I just posted today actually, about how, as we all get to a higher level of consciousness, more and more gods come and pay attention to us, and they try and destroy our consciousness with, floods, natural disasters, whatever. And then if we survive, we keep attracting more and more higher beings. And I use this to explain why, knowing Brahma and Brahmanism and Zoroastrianism turns later into Vishnu and Zorvan, who, in my opinion, they're practically the same being. And on it goes. And, I use this mentality in my own art because so many times I've seen beings that are so far beyond the pale of what any religion has to talk about, what what anyone's thinking, anything I've ever heard. I see these beings, and I see these patterns that just want expression, and through fantasy, practically it's a new religion. Like, you can see that even in Lord of the Rings, and a lot of the Lord of the Rings corroborates a lot of things in a very fantastical way, of like the Lyrian Wars and what have you, the Orion Wars. There's also wars in Heracles, through that constellation. They're just very short-lived because Arcturus is like right next door, and we, the Arcturians, just basically wiped out the reptilians there. So Heracles was like a battlefield for quite a short period of time. But Orion, basically they're like, not really, like, in Orion there's some streak of pacifism apparently, and so they just kept letting things happen until it was like way too late, and there was like, oh shit, maybe we should actually fight. Imagine. Okay, this is sort of the lore. I was there for some of it. I particularly remember a field, or like a giant plain with it was a rocky plain, and there was purple mist everywhere, and the purple mist would like practically drive you insane. I remember I was there in that battle. I got this regression when I was clearing traumas, going even back into past lives. I was clearing trauma captured in my face, actually. Yeah, so releasing traumas from my face, and then I also found I had a lifetime in Zhengzhou. I was someone important there, I guess, magician or politician, one of those. Really both. I was back in the days when when the leadership were all shamans, or shamanic in some sense. The thing is, people are so dumb now. I mean, not dumb exactly. It's like, then it was like a few aliens, a few star seeds that just contained the entire compass, the entire yeah, I'm going to say the word compass here of human potential within themselves, because, you know, practically anything higher elevated than a Pleiadian is going to completely max out human potential. Humans are about on the plane with Pleiadians. They're just not using their potential, whereas Pleiadians, of course, do. You know. So, now I think we're dumbing ourselves down. Like, I think we go back into our own, like, we limit ourselves through astrology, through all kinds of controls, through, like, maybe even shutting off our own, you know, like, let's say even, like, circuits of sacred geometric, like, energy matrices within ourselves. We turn them off because it's kind of like time for humans to do for themselves. There's a little bit of that. I don't really resonate with this whole thing that, like, all the reptilians and the Greys fucked everything up and now we can't use our latent powers, you know, like, we're cut off. I don't feel that way that much. I think that, I don't feel like I lost anything. I feel like I'm just sitting on the sidelines waiting for the players to actually play the game. And, you know, as the coach, I feel like I was the coach playing for the players, and now it's time for them to go in, kind of thing.